This podcast contains explicit content.
Let's begin the show by starting it.
Hardly focused.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Dissecting the news one tangent at a time.
Settle back, fire up the color teenies, watch the pictures, and hear the sounds as they fly through the air.
A new intro. Oh my God. Welcome to Hardly Focused. It's Jack, Fro, Mike Terrara. It is the 31st of May. This is the 459th episode of our podcast. Yeah.
Yay.
Woohoo. You can get us at hardlyfocused.com. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We are wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube at hardlyfocused.com/YouTube. And starting with this episode, our show is now hosted by Anchor. You can find us at anchor.fm. Nothing changes in terms of Apple Podcasts or Spotify, any of those things. We're still there. Someone else is now basically just hosting the show for us, which is fine by me. Less work I need.
Jack is no longer hosting the show. What?
Are you saying that it's no longer running out of a computer in your basement?
It's in my mom's basement. Do you miss those days? Do you miss the days of doing the show in my parents' basement?
Yes.
Yes
to a
and
degree,
no.
I mean.
To a degree.
There were definitely ups and downs.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was an interesting time to say the least.
It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times.
You know
I missed the RoboCop poster.
Well, I mean, I got that right in front of me. I mean, all you need to do is literally show up to my house and you'll be able to see it.
Well, there's your problem.
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that is a little bit of an issue with the Corona.
well, you guys are well equipped to never have to leave the house again for this show, which, you know, it technically makes things a lot easier for us too. So we got
Oh my
that.
God, yeah.
Got that. I forgot to clean
Like,
up.
I got to do a podcast at 2 o'clock, 1:58, roll right in.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
It's so much easier.
I'm wearing pajamas.
Nice.
I'm not wearing pants at all.
So,
Damn.
forgot to clean up my desk here in the studio. I'm literally using a strategy guide for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. I've been playing it on my PlayStation Mini, and I'm starting to get stuck in places. And then I realized, literally in like 1999, when I bought the game, I got the strategy guide with it. I'm like, yes. I could either Google search everything and watch YouTube videos, which is obviously the easier solution, or I can go old school, pick up the strategy guide, and just go by that.
Got to go old school with it. You got to.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And the
And when
pictures.
strategy guides used to be everything.
Did you get it from Blockbuster?
Funko Land.
Ooh, even better.
Yep. And the pictures in the strategy guide too are microscopic, so like you can barely even see what it is they're referencing.
Taking on a CRT monitor, no doubt.
And apparently I was actively using the strategy guide, almost 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago when the game came out, because like the first for the first couple levels I was actively checking things off and scribbling notes
Did
down.
I get this accomplishment?
Yeah. Yep.
That's amazing.
So, and that's all obviously in mental preparation for the remake of the first two Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games that is coming out in September, I believe.
And is that without Trapped?
Without Trapped?
Yeah, isn't that like one of the songs from Trapped is on there, and they want to
Oh, maybe.
take it
Oh,
off?
yeah,
The people are trying to get them to not be on the new soundtrack.
Oh, they might have because the soundtrack is going to be a mix of the old ones, like from the original games, and then there's going to be new songs on there, and they don't want Trapped. I guess they don't want Trapped to be part of the new, like the new soundtrack. They were never part of the first two games. They hadn't taken off their one hit that they had didn't come out until well after like the first 4 games. Like
I don't know. I don't keep track of their hits. So whatever.
I mean, it's Trapped. Trapped is Trapped. They're known for that one song, the demo of which is light years better than the one that plays on the radio all the time. And their frontman is a psychopath who likes to pick fights with people on Twitter.
I like how Twitter has destroyed a lot of people's careers.
Oh yeah,
my God.
I love it.
I saw one today.
What'd you see?
It's not even a famous person. She just was going off about brown people and not using the happy terms for that. And so finally somebody screenshotted it, started sharing it, and found her personal information. And was like, hey, guess what? Your bosses are going to know. And she's like, no, you have to delete this. I deleted the tweet already. I'm going to lose my job. I have a kid. And they're like, tough shit. Maybe you shouldn't be a racist.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Cancel culture, baby.
Oof.
Later on in this episode of Hardly Focused, we are going to talk about the executive order that our dictator-in-chief signed. Did he sign it or did he threaten to sign it?
I don't know.
It's hard to say with this dude.
Okay. The executive order that would effectively prevent Twitter from adding fact check labels and warnings to his tweets. We have a whole segment planned for that. We also have a whole segment planned for the even bigger thing in the news right now, the unrest happening literally all over the country because of the George Floyd murder. It was murder. It was murder.
I mean, allegedly.
Oh, it's a legend until he gets convicted, right?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I'll go with the old, he's innocent till proven guilty. We all know where it's gonna go, but I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Can you imagine? So, like, all right, the same thing happened.
Rodney King's beaters were innocent until proven guilty, right? Oh, look what happened there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the same thing happened in '92 with Rodney King. And back then, you just were so lucky to have someone who had a whole camcorder that they were able to just whip up and set up and film Rodney King getting beaten up. And remember, Rodney King at the time did not succumb to his injuries. The late Rodney King, I should say, because I think he like drowned in a pool or something within the last.
He died in like early 50s, right?
Yeah, he died. He actually was on the morning show at AAF because I remember I was working and actually got to talk to him on the phone and patch him through. And like a month later, he died, and it was just like a freak accident. But yeah, you had in '92 just someone who happened to have a camera that could film this thing. Nowadays, how many
if you happen
videos?
to not have a camera, what's wrong with you?
Right. How many videos have come out so far of this George Floyd thing?
I love the
1,000.
idea of Rodney King getting beat up for like 3 straight minutes while some dude's like struggling to set up a tripod and like hit record and like maybe rewind the tape that like gets put in those cameras back then. Like, oh crap, I gotta get this.
My daughter's recital.
so
I can't
fast.
record over that one.
Like the first 5 seconds, it's like it's an episode of Family Matters, and then you see like the screen get all jumbled, and then it's Rodney King getting beaten up. And then when it's done, it goes back to Family Matters. Obscure reference: the video game Manhunt, one of my favorite video games. Rockstar Games made it. When you beat the game and you go through the end credits, it's revealed that the entire game is done on a VHS tape that was filmed over a cooking show.
Is that really how it goes?
Yeah. The last,
That's amazing.
Literally, the credits finish rolling, and then like the screen gets all jumbled, and it's like it's an alien that hosts a cooking show, and you see like 5 seconds of it, and then the screen just goes black. So the entire game was just taped over an existing recorded program.
I love it.
So in more positive news, the SpaceX launch happened yesterday.
Finally, something positive.
Yay,
in the news.
happy news.
As Andy Milonakis put it, someone who hasn't been relevant at all in...
Are you talking about Schmanny Schmilanakis?
He posted something on Twitter, something along the lines of congratulations to the astronauts at SpaceX who took off from Earth today. Good choice.
Yeah. Perfect timing. We're gonna leave right now, guys. We're gonna come back when you sort it out.
Robert Benkin and Douglas Hurley.
Hurley.
That sounds like a familiar name.
Yeah.
They took off yesterday in the Dragon spacecraft. It was broadcast only, I think only like ABC was broadcasting because everyone else was focused on the riots and everything. But
I think Discovery may have had it as well.
Okay.
You two might have. Well, so I watched the postponed launch, which unfortunately, I was like, oh, sweet, I can tune in for this. It's only half an hour until launch. And literally within 10 minutes, they're like, yeah, sorry, there's too many clouds in the sky. We can't do it. And I was like, dang it.
Yep. When I was watching the ABC version, they had their meteorologist up who there was no confidence that they'd be able to do this until literally 10 minutes before the launch happened. And the meteorologist was very ecstatic that there's like a you know how it is in Florida, the storms that pop up every day because it's so damn humid down there. And there was a storm cell that flared up and then was just like a hair away from Cape Canaveral, and they were able to do the launch, no problem. What I don't get is why do this in Florida? Why have the launches in Florida if it's always going to be a trivial thing because of the weather?
Literally every day.
It's the closer you are to the equator, apparently, the easier it is to launch rockets.
Really? Oh, that actually makes sense.
And then Florida, definitely, you don't want anything that's going to result in freezing because then you get a disaster.
Oh,
that's happened in the past.
You don't want O-rings to freeze on the launch pad because then people will explode.
Dude.
So you want warm enough weather. And yeah, I mean, Florida gets hit with hurricanes, but it's warm enough and it's southern enough and it's in the U.S. So ABC.
According to CNN, SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft docked at the International Space Station at 10:16 a.m. Eastern Time this morning.
Ooh.
After launching
We're pretty timely with this then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 19 hours it took them to get from Kennedy Space Center to get to the International Space Station. So,
have you seen the new outfits, if you will, the SpaceX spacesuits?
No, only what I saw on TV.
They look pretty cool.
Yeah, they are definitely not NASA made. I'll put it that way. They look like they look like they belong in a movie. I mean, it's Elon Musk. They're a lot more streamlined. It's not, they're not as bulky, I feel. But yeah, they're pretty cool looking.
It is Elon Musk. I mean, the guy literally named his kid, or some random cipher of Cyrillic letters and numbers.
He managed to he pronounced it on some sort of social media not too long ago. I didn't actually watch it.
Is it Æ-Xii Archangel 12?
It might be. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
All I know is they had to change the name a little bit because in the state of California, you can't have numbers in your name legally. So instead of the X-12, it's XII.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, it's Roman numeral, so it could technically be letters.
That means there must have been like a prior case where they're like, no, you can't name your son like son number 3.
Yeah, welcome to my life.
Seven Costanza.
So no, I hadn't seen the outfits, but that doesn't surprise me at all. Elon Musk, kind of amazing how he's sort of the champion of all things technological now. I mean, with the Teslas and now SpaceX, it's crazy. Like what would he? It's almost like it's kind of like how Steve Jobs obviously revolutionized a lot for technology in terms of the computer, phones, the way we communicate. Imagine if we didn't.
I'm gonna stop you right there. He was like a good marketing guy, but Wozniak was the revolutionary. Sorry, I got a chip on my shoulder about the Apple ecosystem.
Of course you do. Look, Apple products have yet to completely fail me, so I'll stick with my iPhone in my several years old iPad that I've only used to watch adult films on.
Good luck running the radio show on a MacBook Pro.
I actually have considered, like if I switched everything out for a MacBook, would I be able to do any semblance of audio production on it.
Sure, you just need to spend about $1,000 a month.
Oh yeah, what Pro Tools?
Pro Tools and the various adapters you would need and various everything. And then you got to hope that some like really diehard Mac fanboy is actually writing code for it all.
That's why, like, I'm looking at the MacBook Air, and you need a bunch of dongles to use everything. And the only ports it's got on there is it's like 1 or 2 USB-C ports. So yeah, you're kind of boned on being able to do anything. Most of the connectivity is Bluetooth.
It's streamlined.
Yeah. Steve Jobs would have never allowed this to happen.
Honestly, I actually don't think he would have. That's why I lost all hope in Apple once he passed.
Right. But like without Elon Musk, though, do you think we'd even have the things that we have right now? Right, like sending.
Of course not.
Oh my God, no.
Sending up it was a payload, wasn't it? Just like a test when he sent up the car with the astronaut in it, or the
yeah, that was just a PR stunt but it was a payload test.
Mm-hmm. Pretty substantial though that SpaceX would be the ones to send people into space and not NASA.
Well, they decided to defund NASA, and NASA's like, we can't afford this, so it's going to have to go to the private industries.
Which I think this is the first private industry launch like that, right?
Yes, because this is the first time that a U.S. based rocket has gone to the ISS. I think in almost 10 or 12 years. Everything else has come up through Russia with the Soyuz.
Why is Russia giving more access to the space program? Jesus.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be this like, kumbaya, okay, we can all agree to help each other out in space kind of thing, so we don't kill each other with nuclear missiles.
It's the old space race. 1960s.
We won.
Yeah.
We won, but then Russia continued.
Yeah. I don't know. Allegedly, is there a couple of cosmonauts dead on the moon? We don't know.
Ooh, that's one of those conspiracy theories that I'd like to know more about.
That is actually a legitimate conspiracy theory, because Russia, doesn't say shit about all their failures, and their rockets, like, they were able to get rockets up before us.
It's true.
So you can only assume that they tried, and they did it quicker because they don't give a shit about safety.
Safety protocol. That takes
whatever. You land there, you die there, you're still Russian. Okay, there you go. You're good.
You're still Russian.
So remember Richard Branson, the Virgin guy?
Virgin Galactic, that didn't go anywhere.
Oh yeah, whatever happened to that dude?
So I guess he didn't pull off his whole initiative to go to space, right? Because he wanted to be like the first civilian to go to space.
Yeah, it was the Virgin Galactic flights, but it was like low Earth orbit, and it was like, that's not even real space, bitch. Like, get the fuck out of here.
It was basically like a super high fighter jet.
Yeah, it was like 100. Like, it was like when that guy jumped off the balloon at 103,000 feet for Red Bull. To say it's like it was like 10,000 feet hop higher. Like, no one cares.
Right.
Like, get me the sustained orbit space. That's what we want. 230 miles up, fucking geosynchronous satellite shit. Like, get those numbers.
Stephen Hawking, he didn't go into space, right? That was just like a zero-G thing that they did at NASA.
Yeah, that was on the Vomit Comet. Yeah.
Okay.
the Vomit Comet. I love that.
That's what they call it, because they do like these negative G dives in basically a hollowed out 747, and it's like a padded room, and you get the free fall float for like 30 seconds at a time as they drop like 18,000 feet, and then they go back up in these parabolic arcs.
All right, Jack, you need to get the radio show on one of those things, and we'll do the radio show while weightless.
I like this idea. I support it.
It's doable.
Yeah.
I think what Christopher Nolan probably, didn't he film like a couple scenes in one of his goddamn movies like that?
Did he? Which movie?
I know that in Apollo 13 they did almost all of them floating scenes like that. I think Christopher Nolan did a recent one where it's Christopher Nolan. Like, his new movie, he crashed a fucking 747 because he didn't want to pay for CGI.
Oh, damn.
It's cheaper.
He's done a couple other things, and I think he actually did a scene or two, and it was pure They built it inside a plane, and they did the vomit comet thing. It was 20-second. It was a maximum of 20 to 30 seconds of take before they had to cut and then go to a different take.
Wow.
That's nuts.
But yeah, it's much cheaper to get the actual machinery, the actual prop, and just do it and crash it and destroy it rather than pay for the CGI. So that's why he went that route. It's just like the Mad Max Fury Road. They used minimal CGI because it was much cheaper to just get the actual props.
And they had to shoot it all in chronological order because they couldn't figure out how to make a dent disappear.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we know. This is going to be too confusing. There's too many cars. Let's go in order. You crashed, good. We don't have to worry about it anymore. No reshoots.
Well, I watched the rocket launch, and ever since the whole Challenger thing, you gotta brace when they do the go for throttle up. When it takes off, because we've seen when you flick that switch, bad things can happen. But everyone held their breath.
The Falcon 9, Falcon 9 rocket, 100 successful flights up.
That's a good record.
Two more things. The rocket, when it landed back on Earth after the Dragon capsule detached, it landed on a barge in the middle of the ocean perfectly. It was a perfect landing. It did not just crash.
I've seen a prior video of that when they were doing the testing of that exact thing happening. The way it steadies itself is like really, really cool.
Yeah. Landed
Couldn't
perfectly.
do that in 1969 with the Saturn V.
And I learned yesterday too that there's abort points in different parts of the world. It's as the rocket and the capsule are exiting the Earth's atmosphere. There are different in different countries. There are points where if they need to abort the launch, I guess at that point it's still a launch. But there's multiple instances before there's a point of no return. And I think they said there's like one in Nova Scotia, there's one in Norway or or Iceland, because it's like where they're passing over as they're heading up into space. And they mentioned that they're going by the first abort point, the second one, there's several of them, so they have multiple opportunities to basically turn the car around if they sense anything is going wrong.
I need to pee. He's touching me.
Hey, I left my phone back at NASA. Can we go back?
Oh no, I opened up my bag of potato chips too early.
Careful, they're ruffled. So there you go. That's the SpaceX launch. Some good news to start off this episode because everything else is going to shit, but just randomly interspersed in the middle of the pandemic and the unrest around the country, we had a successful manned launch into space, which is great. So welcome back, and we will talk about what else is happening around the country.